Welcome to What's Going On, the weekly podcast and videocast of First United Methodist Church in Yankton, South Dakota. Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of What's Going On. I'm Pastor Katie here at First United Methodist Church, and I'm glad you could join me for this episode. In this episode, I just want to recap a little bit about what's been happening. You've been hearing about it, and then to just, again, look to the future of what we have happening in the life of the church. And if there's some other things that come along the way, then that's great. So this past week has been a very big week for us because we have begun to live into our fall schedule. We launched back into 605 this past Wednesday night, along with confirmation and youth group. And so that was a really big thing because it's also the same week that kids start school. And we know that that's really overwhelming for families, including me and our family. But part of the reason we do it is that we want families to get into the rhythm of the school year with the church involved. One of the things we know as a truth in life right now, in culture right now, is that families are pulled in a million different directions. And if we wait to kind of launch church, what we find is that other things will try to sneak into and claim that time and that space and that energy from families. And so we want to make sure that we are on the schedule, that we are part of it. So we had them come. We did a meal on Wednesday night. Thank you to Carol Becker and her crew for making that and serving that. And then did orientation with the families. And so Tiffany walked through what 605 is going to look like this year, what opportunities there are. I, along with Diane Kish, we had the confirmation students and walking through what their year is going to look like. And then there was a youth group Wednesday, Sunday social, which is confusing, but it was ice cream Sundays, not the day of Sunday. And again, just a fellowship time along with the families. So that was really great and a really exciting time to kind of have people back together. And when the kids are in the church, it's just so much fun. There's so much energy. There's so much excitement. And so we're really looking forward to what God has in store for us this year. And so this coming Wednesday night, however, there's going to be another thing added to the schedule, and that is a Wednesday night small group at 7 p.m. So I teach confirmation from 5:45 to 6:45, and then at 7, I have decided to host a small group for anyone who would like to come. It'll be up in the confirmation room classroom. So when you go upstairs and you go down the hallway, it's it's the only classroom on the left. And there we will it'll be probably about an hour-ish. We're going to be doing a video series from Right Now Media. Now, Right Now Media is a video subscription service that we have given to the church body for free. Anybody can get access to that. Anybody can get an account through us for free and have access to over 20,000 videos, including studies, including children's content, and all kinds of things. And so we're going to be doing one of those studies for our small group on Wednesday night, and it's called Love in Chaos. And if that is not a description of the Christian life, I don't know what is. And it's done by Bob Goff, and Bob Goff is, if you have not read anything or seen anything by him, an incredible human. I got the privilege of getting to see him speak when I was at Leadership Institute down in Kansas City, and was just incredibly blown away. And I've also, I have some of his devotions. He's a lawyer by trade, and also I think he's a ambassador for the United States to a country, and I can't think of the country off the top of my head, but he's also a Christian and just infectiously joyful. I think that's maybe the best way to put it about him, which is maybe not necessarily the way you would describe a lawyer, always infectiously joyful. And so anyway, I'm very excited to be doing this series. We're actually going to offer as well on Tuesdays at noon starting September 5th. So this coming Wednesday, August We'll start it on Wednesday night, August 30th, and then the following Tuesday at noon, September 5th, they will start it. That class is wrapping up this coming Tuesday. They're going to be wrapping up. We've been reading, I don't know where my book is. Oh, it's right here. We've been reading the prophets all summer. So we've actually, this is a series. A couple summers ago, we challenged everybody in the congregation to read through the entire New Testament in small groups. The Tuesday lunch study group each summer has been taking on the rest of that series. So last summer, we read through the covenant history books. That's like Genesis, Exodus, all of that. This summer, we were reading through the prophets. So we've got just 1 week left of that. And then next summer, we'll finish out and we have read the entire Bible together, which is pretty incredible. And you're always welcome to join us in that. That class, that group is open to anybody who would like to come Tuesdays at noon. And so both of those are going to be doing this Bob Goff series. The reason I mentioned that it's on Right Now Media is because if you're like, I really want to do that, I can't make every Wednesday night, but I can make some of them. Know that you have access to watch them at any point so that you can watch and know what we're doing if you miss a week or 2 weeks, or if you're like, I can't do either of those times, but that sounds really interesting. Well, you can watch it. It's there for you through the Right Now Media app. If that's something that you did not download this spring and you're like, that sounds really cool, let us know and we'll get you the link so that you can have access to that. That's something that the church chose to do this year to help you in your discipleship. And if that's something that, and then we're going to be just tracking the usage. If that's something that people have really utilized, we'll look at continuing to do that. If that's something that just really hasn't struck with people, then we'll probably let our subscription end at the end of this year. So, like I said, if it's something that you really love, encourage others to utilize it, because that's what we're going to be looking at when we determine whether or not it's a good investment for us to continue. Speaking of discipleship, we have now launched our Disciples Developing Disciples programming. If you haven't had a chance to watch the podcast that really digs deep and explains what it is, I invite you to do that. I'm not going to rehash it here for those of you who are active and avid listeners of this podcast, except to say and encourage you to get your soul scan filled out. 2 notes on that. One, if you initially tried a QR code link and it said it was no longer active, that is my bad. We have now fixed that. And so now when you see QR codes for the soul scan, they will work. And it wasn't a you thing, it was a me thing. Lesson learned, just let Tiffany do the tech things. I thought, I don't need to bother her. I can do this. Yeah, I need to bother her with my stuff. That's what I've learned. And anyway, so you can use the QR code. We've been sending out links as well. If you're having issues for whatever reason, accessing that, we've had a few people that we've kind of had some weird things going on. That's okay. We also have printed copies that you can pick up and fill out. Now, a note on the printed copies. This is a work in progress. Remember, this program is not something that we have bought that has come through a publisher. This is something that I'm developing, and it's still developing. And the more that we use it, the more your input is going to go into help making it the best thing that it can be. And one of the great feedback that I got this week was, hey, Pastor Katie, on the paper copy, you don't explain what the numbers are, so I'm not really sure how to fill it out. On the online version, I explained what the numbers were, but I didn't on the paper copy. So I was like, you know what? That's really good feedback. And so I have now updated the paper copy to include instructions. So if you grab the paper copy and you hadn't watched the video, if you watched the video, you would have understood how to fill it out because I walked through it with you. But if you haven't had a chance to watch the video and you grab a soul scan, now it has explanations for how to fill it out. Once you fill those out, get those back to me. I'm compiling all of that information, and then I will be reaching out via email, via phone call, to follow up with your soul scan and the goals that you set. The other thing I think is really important, and I've seen some come in without this, is for you to state a goal for this year. And I think kind of almost the more specific that you can be, the better. So I appreciate the goal of I just want to grow in my discipleship. Yep, that's the whole point of all of this. And the best way to do that is through a specific kind of goal. Think of it again as a SMART goal. You want it to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. And so looking at, do I have a soul scan? I don't. So looking at the soul scan sheet, maybe you look at all of the different things, and one of the areas, and I'm going to use this one because I remember from when we did it with our youth this spring, it was the number one goal was I want to read my Bible more. So it was specific because that was one of the lines. Do I have a regular practice of reading scripture? And maybe they put pretty low on that. Maybe I don't at all. And so specific is I'm going to read the Bible. Now, you could even get more specific than that, but you don't have to. I think that's fairly specific. Is it measurable? Yeah. You can measure if you've read the Bible or not, right? Like you either have or you haven't. It's something that you can do. Maybe you and maybe one of the ways that we would follow up with a goal like that is to give you a Bible reading plan or something. Is it attainable to read the Bible? Now, if their goal was, I want to read the whole Bible in a year, that is attainable. But if you've started from zero, that's sort of like, I've never run in my life, and by the end of the year, I want to run a marathon. It's gonna be tough, right? So maybe think of it more of like a couch to 5K program, right? So maybe you want to read the New Testament this year, and then we can support you and help you and give you tools to support that goal. So is it specific? Is it measurable? Is it attainable? Is it realistic? And then is it timely? And again, the timely piece is for this year. Your goal is really setting an intention for this year, and really as we're working kind of the school year in particular. So when you're filling those out, fill out a goal, please, because that helps give direction to me for how I can come and support you. If you didn't, that's fine. I'm going to look at what you filled out and come with some ideas and thoughts. And then the other piece of it is so that initial conversation will be, all right, thank you for filling this out. I see this is what your goal is. I kind of look through here and have some just initial thoughts of what that might look like. Now, after the initial follow-up, Marilyn Elwood is the coordinator for me for developing disciples, which I have started calling in my head D3 because there's 3 D words. She will follow up with you and check in with you for support. And she will connect you with other people that are working on similar goals. And so that's part of the way, because if all of you do it, which is what I would love, I can't personally follow up with everybody all the time. And even with Marilyn by my side, that's a lot. So part of the program is to connect you with other people. One of the areas that we feel really strongly that we want to work on this year is developing the community of the church and developing relationships with each other. That's one of the things that I think really became strained in our time apart. With the word I don't want to say. And so that's one of the areas we really feel strongly we want to build back up. And part of our discipleship is being discipled in community and by one another, that we're all called to do this work. We're all called to invest in others and to be invested in by others. And so again, going back to the example of maybe your goal is to read your Bible more. Well, maybe there's 3 or 4 other people who have that similar goal, and you can support each other. Maybe you guys can be working through Benjamin. maybe you guys could be working through a Bible reading program together. Maybe you meet on a monthly basis and talk about what you've been reading and what you've been learning. Or maybe that group decides we'd really like to do a Bible study together. Could we get some support in that? And yes, absolutely. So one of the other things that we're going to be looking at are overall trends. And so if we have half the people in the church really have want to be learning their Bible, that tells us we need to be encouraging and offering more opportunity for that. If the church, so we're going to be looking at those things as well, as far as how can we tailor what we're doing to help really meet the stated needs of our people. And so that's kind of what that process looks like once you fill in your soul scan. I'm going to be doing my best in the next couple weeks to really start working on following up with people, but just be patient with me, because I want to be very invested and know that I'm taking this very seriously and care about you personally, and I want to give you the time and energy and focus that you deserve. And so that might mean it just takes me a little bit to get through all of those. And so I appreciate your help in that. Otherwise, looking ahead, we've got a lot of great things coming up. We're going to be continuing on in our I Am sermon series, so I'm very excited about that. We will have our musical groups, including our Jubilee Bells and our Children's Bells, be launching in September, I believe. So we've just got a lot of great things going on. And I'm really excited for what God has in store for us this coming year. And I'm just going to do a quick little plug at the end here. This coming Saturday, at the Mount Marty football game, the Contact Center is going to be there doing a fundraiser, but really just trying to get the word out. If you don't know about the Yankton Contact Center, they do a lot of really great things, including a food pantry. And so come and check that out. I really love to support all of our nonprofits and the work that they're doing. And so if you are part of a nonprofit here in Yankton and have stuff coming up, let me know. And we'd love to either get you on the podcast or for us to be able to promote it. And so I think that's all for me for this week. Until next time, God bless. Thank you for listening to this episode of What's Going On. We'd love to have you join us for worship here at the church on Sundays at 10 a.m. You can also find us online via our website at firstumcyankton.org or search for us on YouTube.